What's up, Ducks and Duckettes? Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes critic here, and we are looking at some new stuff that's been dropped on the HBO Max tip. Yeah, boy. And I'm here once again with my good friend Greg Duffell, animator extraordinaire. Worked with the greats. Worked with Frizz, Chuck, Ken Harris. Did you say you worked with Holly Pratt, or do you just want to praise him?
I met him.
Oh, you never got
to. No, I didn't have the... very few people in our generation got to work with Holly Pratt, unfortunately.
But yes, this is...
I tried.
But yes, this is once again the show where it's apparently Trevor and Greg ruin the new cartoons before they're even out. But no, we're gonna take a look at at Wet Cement, and we're going to be, well, I'm the Looney Tunes critic, so we're going to be critical.
Again, the title, I mean, you would have thought maybe a little bit of work on the title, but is that a pun? Am I missing the pun again?
You know what? I don't think so. I don't think there's a pun.
All right.
But maybe there.
Normally we expect a clever pun from a title of a Warner Brothers cartoon. Generally, a play on words, making fun of a movie that's out, a title or a book title. But
I mean, I know of at least one porno title that I could think of that sort of, matches that, but like I don't think that's what they were going for.
All right, yeah, okay, I get where you're going here. I never thought about it.
They wouldn't call it dry semen, But anyway, let's get while the getting's good and watch this thing. Yes, Max Original. They did this originally.
Now, Porky here looks... this animation of Porky seems very stiff to me.
Whereas Daffy does not?
Well, it's not as bad. Like, Porky looks wrong here. Is Porky the wrong size? It looks like he's not... I don't know, he looks flat or something. I mean, Porky's coming off worse here.
I like that expression. I do like that angry expression.
Yeah, the expression was fine there, but... they're trying some gags.
Yeah, and it is.
They're trying something.
It is technically full animation.
Sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's not. I mean, I can tell it's not. The Porky Pig, I can tell, is not drawings. I mean, there's some kind of trickery. It's not like someone isn't sitting down there and animating that. I don't think. I mean, there's probably bits and pieces of it that are done, but a lot of it is just seems to be moving around objects, with software more than anything else. That's what it looks like to me.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was
some interesting composition there. I noticed. Lack of composition on Porky Pig when he got into a position there, and it looked like something was sticking out of his head, from the background. But watch this. Now. Doesn't it look like software more than animation?
Yeah, but I feel I dismissed that at first because I'm so accustomed to seeing it.
I know, but I mean, I think that's what sort of weakens this. You're sort of looking at software more than anything. Like the Daffy Duck, like this stuff. Like that stuff seems like sometimes there's some good animation here. Like this is all right. This bit, I mean, it's fine, this bit. That's more fully animated, I would say, this section. This doesn't look as software-oriented as the stuff earlier at times.
In the last commentary, you were talking about, a lot of people are already... You said that part, or not in the commentary, maybe in the interview that we did, but you said a very interesting thing about how I asked you if you thought that the Roger Rabbit days, how that changed everything. I asked you if you thought this stuff had the opportunity maybe to change, the way we think of things now and whatever it is. And you said no. And you were saying how, and you're right, I believe, how already before these cartoons are even out, people are breaking down like the rigging and the stuff that is real versus isn't real. Yeah. And one thing I did want to say, I mentioned to you on Facebook, I was going to get into this. There's I'm not going to point fingers and name names, but there are some people in our fandom, the Looney Tunes fandom, that are shocked and upset and even amazed that some of these studios, especially the studio that did Pest Coaster, was in an Asian studio, and I just don't know. I looked at every bit of press that had been ever put out for these cartoons in the last 2 years, and I don't know that anyone ever said they weren't going to put these studios like more. I assume maybe the assumption is that everyone thought that they were just going to do this all in America, but there's a weird thing where they're like, wait a minute, the Philippines, how a Filipino studio? I thought they weren't doing these in Asian studios. Like you cannot escape the TV system. And in today, because they're doing a series. That's what a lot of people don't realize, is that they've sworn that they're going to go back and do pay homage to these old cartoons, but they are essentially doing a series. And I want to read something. I'm not going to say who this is, but this is by someone who is, let's just say, in the know. It's unfair to the crew and the artists that worked on these to judge them and compare them with the classics because it's apples and oranges. Excuse me. I'm trying to work around a burp here, but it's apples and oranges. It's a 2020 production made in horrible, antiquated TV pipeline that is a holdover from the 70s and 80s Saturday morning cartoon structure that was made to make cheap stuff. Trying to do 40s style full or slick animation on a TV pipeline that is moving at the speed of light does not turn out good stuff. And the length of the shorts was a mandate to do varying lengths for varying platforms. So judging that they are not working platform, that's not really fair. Judging that they're not working because they are 6.5 minutes is also unfair. A lot of stuff is out of their control, he's saying. She's saying. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So
absolutely.
The thing is, you can't. The thing is that, I looked at, there's some of the animation done here, where in this thing where, I could point it out. Yeah. Can you do it slower than that?
Sure can.
Yeah. Okay. Go back and just watch watch the drawings as he's making that turn where he turns around. Okay. Yeah, this is very weird. Look at timing-wise. Look, this is a bit of an animation lesson, okay? Look at the timing here. Look, okay, got Porky Pig there, right? Then big move, then a little move. Then boom, he's over there. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you see that, Trevor? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's not smooth.
Yeah.
It's the timing is odd, right? And then you can almost see there. Look at that bit. Porky Pig's head is a cutout there. Go back, go watch that. That thing doesn't move an iota, right? That's a cutout.
Yeah, it's exactly
right?
the same.
So what I noticed there, and I noticed when I was watching it, because if I would, let's say I was directing this, okay, as an animation director, all right, I'd look at that bit and I go, there's something funny going on there, right? I'd look at it and I go, something funny, and I go back and I look at it, and I talk it over with the animator, and I say, you see how the timing when Porky Pig, he moves a little, then he moves a lot, then he moves a little, then he moves a lot. No, you can't do that. It has to be something smooth. He's got to slow out of it, and it's But they're doing this with software and cutouts to some extent, right? So they're trying to do the fewest number of cutouts, and maybe they can do some in-betweens electronically. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how they do this. Now, I don't do this kind of work. I've never done this kind of work. So, but I can, see what I mean there? He's not turning right. And I know it, maybe people say, oh, who cares? Who cares? But, I care. But I care. If I was working on it, I'd want it to be moving right. When it's supposed to be some kind of naturalistic, when he's walking over and going to a toolbox, it's not cartoony. It's not. He's just walking over to a toolbox. That's
true.
it. So I'd want to make that bit look like he's walking over to a toolbox, not paying. I wouldn't want anything jarring there. I just want him doing it. But here, there's all kinds of jarring things going on as he's going over to the toolbox, and it takes away. You're looking at these strange movements, and it's subliminal. I claim it's subliminal to the audience. Audience isn't buying it. They might not know why. They might not be able to, elaborate on it or know what's going on. But they still know something's not quite right, because when they say, oh, this is 2020, they're doing a new type of version of the characters. Yeah, okay, but they're doing characters from 80 years ago.
Yeah.
They're resurrecting 80-year-old things. So anybody, whether I'm an animator or have been an animator or whatever my role in animation has been. I mean, even if I'm just an audience, I'm going to look at it and go, well, these are the things I saw, that were made 80 years ago. I want some kind of commonality with what my experience is. And, there's the jarring things all the time to me. I mean, sure, maybe Porky Pig looks like Porky Pig sometimes, but sometimes he doesn't move like Porky Pig. Okay, stop right there. Go back a few frames. Okay, right there. Okay. Look at the composition, how bad that is. He's got a thing sticking out of his head, right? It looks like that wet cement thing is plugged into his head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, you want to avoid that.
Yeah.
That's jarring. Visually, that's jarring. If you wanted to have Porky Pig going into that expression, like, have him do it over a bit, Did I ever tell you that? Did I tell the story previously about a scene that I did on Superior Duck, and I would go over every scene with Bob Givens. Look at that. Bob Givens gives me this scene to do, and it's a lot of drawings. Okay, and he gives me the scene, and you see these little these things sticking up out of these poles and things on the background.
Yeah,
these vertical elements. There were these vertical elements on the background. And so Bob's going over it with me, and he goes, okay, well, Daffy's walking along there, and he's talking about this and that, and then he stops, and then the roadrunner comes in, and he's going through the whole thing with me, right? And I'm standing there. I didn't have to do this. They could have just shoved the scene in, and I would have done it, right? But I like to go over things with Bob Givens, just because I liked hanging out with Bob Givens. I liked the idea he was directing me. He's like telling me about what the layout was. I wanted to, get into it. It was important to me. So anyway, he says, now look, he says, when Daffy stops, he says, you can't have a goddamn pole sticking out of his head. So I set everything down on the animation table. I set everything up all the way I've instructed this thing to be shot with the background. I go through the whole thing, measure it all out, which I should have done. I don't know why I didn't do this, but I set it all out. I got all the measurements, and Daffy Duck stops, and what's sticking out of his head? A pole.
Of course.
I got a pole sticking out of his head, right? That pole right there that you see was sticking right up out of Daffy Duck's head. So I sat down, I worked it out, and as you can see, Bob did the layout and everything, But he didn't tell me where to stop him. I don't know why he didn't, but because I had to figure out how long it was. He didn't know how long I'd do it, right? What the spacing would be and all that. So I was in charge of doing that and taking his layout and putting things in the right place. And so that's where I decided to have Daffy Duck stop. And if Chuck Jones had directed this, it would have gone to Bob Gibbons and Bob or Maurice Noble or whatever, and they would have worked out where everything was going to be. So stuff like that doesn't happen. The problem with this cartoon, so-called cartoon, is that there's no reason for any of the characters to do any of these things.
Yeah.
And didn't you think when you saw this, when you saw bits of this and pictures of this, because this one's been seeded before, hasn't it? We've seen bits or pieces of this.
Yeah.
Didn't you think it'd be, it wouldn't be such a, I mean, is this is a standalone, isn't it?
Yeah.
This isn't part of a bigger cartoon.
We definitely thought, looking at the clips that leaked for this, that it was part of a bit, the clips that I think everyone saw, I won't say who is responsible for them, but I think the clip that everyone saw of this cartoon, it was definitely in a theater, being shown in a theater. And one, I think, is what you're saying. One is definitely led to believe from that clip that this is part of a bigger cartoon. And it would not appear that that is the case. It would appear that this is the whole cartoon. And that's something I wanted to say about, for me, a disappointment about this is that at the very least, you could say, every time they've put something out, it has been a different thing. There was Dynamite Dance, and then we had a trailer, and then we had Pest Coaster, and now this, and this just feels like more the exact same thing as Dynamite Dance. This thing where it's just a premise to show how, loose and free and gimmicky and cartoony we can make these cartoons, but it's not based on anything. It's not it. A friend of mine said, Sean McBee, my good friend Sean said, he made a very good point. He said, it feels like a student film. It feels very student film in that, like, as if like the college said, use whatever characters you want to. And it's just like, okay, well, I love the classic 1940s Clampett style and all that stuff. And I grew up reading John Kay's blog and everything. And I just want to show what I can do. And it looks like the student film was taken and then shipped to, overseas, and they did rigs and put in shortcuts and everything. And then they, but it doesn't feel like it's real. It doesn't feel like
appears as if this one was not done overseas.
What'd you say?
It appears from, when you got in touch with me today and asked me whether I wanted to do this thing. And I, I said yes. And then shortly after that, I went on to Facebook, and I just happened to see another post on there about this. And it actually provided information, which I think you saw. I sent it to you. It would indicate that this one was actually made not that far away from where I'm sitting right now.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
By the way, can I just stop you for a second? I want to state, for the record, for some people that don't know why this gag is so, clever, I guess. I don't mean to sound facetious when I say that. I did like this idea. That's Tex Avery, who is, for all intents and purposes, Daffy's creator. And it is a parody of this statue of Walt and Mickey. Some people are not really getting what that joke is. So,
well, I wouldn't have got that either.
Oh, really?
I mean, how long is that on for? That's probably,
yeah, it is.
I would guess if you went through it frame by frame at 24 frames per second, it's probably on for maybe
Greg,
8 frames.
This is a nice segue back to what you were about to say. It's the internet. People obsess over these things now.
And what shocked me was that I thought, why wouldn't you give this entire film to one animator?
Yeah.
Why would you feel that you had to split it into 20-second chunks? Like, why? If you've got, and this has obviously been made for a long time. This has been in the can for a while.
Yeah,
and a lot of these things have been in the can for a while. You know, we're going back a year and a half.
There's something a lot of people who are looking forward to these cartoons coming out don't necessarily know is that they're not doing the unit system anymore, the director unit system. They're not doing that for this. What they're doing is it's still like I said before, it's still the old the TV method. What they've done is that they've hired animators who have a very unique ability and style that were, outstanding in their field. And then they did something that I don't want to be critical this early on, but essentially they didn't let them animate and they didn't let them direct either. But what you're seeing when you do watch all these cartoons and you see these maybe 3-4 different set styles, it's not the work of the director saying, okay, this is my style, this is how I'm going to draw this. It's that designer, they took the model sheets from that designer's work. So it is certainly true that it's hard to, you can't, the instinct is to compare these to the originals, but like everything else that has been made Looney Tunes since the studio closed in 1969, they're not making it the old way. Ultimately,
it's like counterfeiting.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that, like, your points are valid about them doing it, making it feel digital. They must know that deep down because they're doing stuff here like imitating dry brush with the motion blur here. It's all super. Go ahead.
Well, see, dry brush is actually a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Finding people to do dry brush is hard.
Actually, why don't we just stop and explain real quick if people don't get what that is? In the Warner Brothers cartoons, that's kind of like this stuff here, where they're trying to imitate motion blur, and they're doing it in a very clever way. It's an interesting choice when to do it here. Because it's obviously ingrained in what we think of when we think of, in the generic sense, when we think of classic Looney Tunes, apparently. Because, like you say, it doesn't feel like a counterfeit. It feels digital. And it's interesting that I'm sure there was an argument about, well, why don't we just have digital blur? We're making this in the computer. Why don't we just have digital blur? And somebody was like, no, we need to imitate dry brush.
Like, this looks like it's animated at times here, right? It looks like it's actually they've used drawings. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks like they've actually drawn this part. I wouldn't say this is terrible, but I don't know. It just, like, Daffy Duck comes off better here than Porky Pig does. But Porky Pig's a more sophisticated character in this scheme of things. Daffy Duck is less sophisticated in terms of what's going on. He might be funnier than Porky Pig is. He's doing the gags, but in a sense, it's less sophisticated. You expect less from it because he's more of a cipher than anything. Like Porky Pig, you got to believe in him.
Yeah.
Because he's doing most of the. He's actually got most of the stuff going on. Daffy Duck's just a prop here, right? And look, even Porky Pig gets a close up here, right?
Yeah.
Porky Pig gets a close up, and these are some very strange drawings. Some of these are, they're reminiscent of, maybe some early 1940s stuff, but this is a strange gag, I find, in building a one-sided brick wall, apparently. Again, we don't have any depth here to understand what he's actually trying to do. Is he building a wall around the whole thing?
By the way, this is what I rewound this for to show. This is a better example of them trying to recreate the dry brush effect.
And it's, you could go and look at a Warner Brothers cartoon and there's some work here, and I'm sorry if anybody who's worked on this is upset with what I say, well, don't take it personally. It's not worth it. It's just that I'm a big fan of the old Warner Brothers cartoons, and supposedly these are supposed to be hearkening back to those, and they don't cut it. So far, they don't cut it, and that's and maybe that's no fault of the people who.
Now you said you told me before, but let's just state for the record, there was some attempt when you were working with Chuck on like another Froggy and Superior Duck and all these other ones, that there were going to be more, and there was an attempt to. There was going to be a series done the old way. Is that true? It's hard.
They were going to make 27 films.
They wanted.
That's what they told me.
Right.
They said there was a press release somewhere that a deal had been made with Warner Brothers. They were going to make 27 short cartoons for theatrical use. So that was the scuttlebutt. Now, did I believe that? Well, I mean, they said it. I mean, but it always. I mean, I was old enough and cynical enough at that point to go, this could stop at any moment.
Yeah.
I mean, they can blow the whistle on this anytime they want. He who pays the piper calls the tune. So, and I was there, and I wasn't, I didn't stick around there, and they didn't make 27 cartoons. So there you have it.
This one is from Curse of the Monkey Bird. I don't know what this one is from.
I mean, that's probably the most, I guess, traditional, like, that looks like a 1937 or like a Tashlin. That looks like a Tashlin Porky Pig.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
From
about 1937.
Yep.
Around there.
Yeah. It's weird to see it in color, because it doesn't. Because normally when you see stuff like this colorized, it's the colorized versions that look like crap that were repainted. I don't know what cartoon this is from, but. It looks like it's from Dynamite Dance, but we've seen all of Dynamite Dance. So maybe it's another Elmer and Bugs picture. What's going on with Bugs' hand here? Do you see that?
Bad. It's bad. It's a bad drawing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, look at that drawing. Look at the one behind him. I mean, what's going on there?
Which one?
Like the one on the back of his body. I mean, the one on the front of his body is pretty bad, but look at the one on the back of his body.
This one?
Yeah, I mean, what the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. Look, a lot of the people that do this, like digital animation, they don't know how to draw.
Yeah.
They've never drawn. So, I mean, that's just the job. The job is not about drawing anymore. I mean, with these films, sure, there's there's some people. There's some people in there that are drawing. Okay, I'm not debating that.
This
but
one,
in terms of the animation,
this one here looks like it was drawn by a person, and then.
No, I'm not saying they're not drawn by people. Like they're yeah. So I mean, like I got nothing against what you're showing me right here to any great extent. I'm not going to pick it apart. If it is, it's a frame from a cartoon. I mean, you could pick out any frame of an old cartoon or any cartoon, any animated film, and say, "Oh, well, that's not so good," but you could look at the whole thing, you could see it moving, and go, "Wow, that's great," right? So it's not like looking at every individual frame is these, that every individual frame has to be perfect.
Yeah,
that's not. I don't want to give that impression about what I'm saying. I'm saying that. So I don't find when I see that or this or whatever, I don't automatically go, oh, gee, that's a bad drawing. That shouldn't be in a cartoon. It's fine. I don't know how it fits into the movement.
Now you wanted to comment on that brick gag, and I think he was just about to do it here, wasn't he?
Okay.
As I go frame by frame.
See, these are drawings like that. That could easily, like some of those drawings could easily be in a regular cartoon, easily.
Yeah.
And actually, you get some like Porky Pig's drawn at different angles here and all that. I mean, I'd like to see more of that in the animation rather than just in a frame that's only on for one frame for a 24th of a second. I'd rather see some more of that in the actual animation.
All right. So what is your comment about this gag?
Well, it's because of the flatness of the setup, because it's all done against one background. I think it's fine, but you don't get the impression that he's built there. Has he built an entire enclosure, or is it just all we see is a flat thing there, right? Like we've got no idea. Like we don't see him building the back first and then the front. You kind of see it in one frame. Maybe he's built something in the back. Go back.
You're right. There is an enclosure in that frame there. You see it.
Right. You can see it, but it's too fast. An audience, like I can't see it.
I had no idea.
We only see it
Greg,
if you still frame it.
I literally just now noticed that I had no idea it wasn't an enclosure. So you're right.
But it isn't. But it's meant to be an enclosure.
Your point is definitely made, because I'm just now noticing, going frame by frame for probably the 5th time. And it just, you're right. They didn't establish that at all, that it is a...
And they could have. Right?
Yeah.
He could have built the back first.
Yeah.
And then put in the front.
Yeah.
And then you go, there. I've got it safeguarded from all possible entry from either side or the front. And then Daffy Duck comes down. But I think the biggest problem with this thing is that it's the biggest problem, beyond all this nitpicking about whether they're drawn right or whatever. Because I think you could get away with not drawing them right, or even having worse animation than this, if it made sense. And even in this commentary that I saw on Facebook earlier that I alluded to, where one of the people who worked on is talking about it, the other people come in and say, oh, it's great, it's fantastic, I love the animation, it's great, it's terrific, it's wonderful, great job. There's a lot of sycophant type of stuff going on. But the thing is that very soon people are coming in and going, the story's kind of like, there's no motivation for the characters. Like, they actually start getting to the core of the problem. And much to their credit. I mean, I think, because I agree with them.
Yeah.
Why is Daffy Duck doing this?
Yeah.
Is it just because he's Daffy? I mean, there were only a few cartoons where Daffy Duck just did things because he was Daffy.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I think is that's the problem. And then there's lots of...
That's the thing, is that even some of the cartoons, just like, even if they had a really simple motivation, like with the Roadrunner and Coyote, the Coyote's motivation is to eat. Even if their motivation was super simple, they at least had a motivation.
Yeah, you don't constantly question, well, why are they doing this? And all of my, I've always been skeptical about doing these kinds of things. I mean, maybe even the only reason that I thought that doing the Chuck Jones one, I'm not skeptical of that one in the sense that, it's Chuck Jones doing the cartoon. And I feel he has a right to do it because he played a big part in creating these characters. And he has a right. And I think that Warner Brothers giving him the right to make a cartoon as he sees fit is justifiable. And I think he has a right to express that artistic expression, whereas, and I'm not saying that, if people made money on these and put money in the bank and buy a house or, make their life better, I think it's great, but would I really want to work on this? I don't know. I mean, I'd want to do it my way. I don't think you can do it my way. And maybe my way wouldn't be very good, but I'd want to do it my way, just as Chuck Jones would want to do it his way. And he did. I mean, might not have been that good, but he did it his way. And who knows how much... I did
it my way.
Yeah.
I'm 41 and I've been a fan since I was 5. Like some of my first books are those Looney Tunes history books. In fact, I can remember Christmas 1985 getting That's All Folks by Steve Schneider. And it just, changing my whole life. So I've been waiting for what is directly being advertised here. And I have to say, they've never come closer. But now that I'm 41 and somewhat of an authority on what goes on with Looney Tunes, I now realize just how fucking impossible it is to do what they did in the old days now.
There you go.
So anyway, we'll say that we'll look at the next one and we're going to break these all down. And I am glad that there's new stuff. I'm glad that it's pretty. I'm glad that it's funny at times. I'm glad it attempts to make movements, but I think we said it best at the beginning. It's really not fair to compare these to the originals because they're not being made the old way. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this commentary. I'm Trevor Thompson, the self-appointed Looney Tunes critic. I want to thank my guest, Mr. Duffell, again for taking the time to sit in with us. Greg, thank you again.
Welcome.
And we'll see you on the flip side. That's all, folks. Well, you may think that your Looney Tunes collection is sufficient enough. I might think it's sufficient or deficient. Oh, I just have a few dolls and the DVDs here. Well, that's of course not everything, but what I have are the best versions available. Some of the best versions available of these cartoons that you're likely to find anywhere. And so if you want to learn more about them or more about the restoration process of these cartoons or the history of these cartoons, any number of things related to Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, you're going to want to subscribe or click on one of those videos up there. You're going to want to do it. Trust me.